ng edukasyon sa bansa.
At dito nagsimula ang bagong kwento. Isang kwento ng tiwala, pag-asa at kinabukasang matagumpay. Sa unang pahina, ang ating mga guro.
Pinakamahalaga sa sistema ng edukasyon ay ang ating mga mahal na guro.
Kaya't pinagaan natin ang kanilang pasanin, pinalakas ang kanilang propesyon, at ibinigay ang mga benepisyong nararapat. Dahil kung ang guro ay may sapat na suporta, higit silang makakapagbigay ng pag-asa. Kasunod na pahina, ang ating mga mag-aaral. Pinalakas natin ang nutrisyon at mental health ng mag-aaral at tiniyak na ligtas silang matuto at mangarap.
Naglaan tayo ng 1 bilyon para makapagtayo ng mahigit 300 barangay child development center at bulilit center sa buong bansa. Sa nakaraang 3 taon, halos 22,000 silid-aralan ang nabuksan na. Maglalaan tayo ng sapat na pondo para rito.
Nagbigay din tayo ng tulong at subsidiya upang mas maraming bata ang makapagpatuloy sa pag-aaral dahil bawat batang naaabot ay isang pahina ng pag-asa. Sa ikatlong pahina, pinagtibay natin ang kalidad ng pagkatuto.
Malinaw sa atin ang tumambad na realidad tungkol sa ating mga kabataan ngayon. Ang kakulangan sa kaalaman at sa kakayahan. Kung tayo ay nagpupundar ng malaki para sa infrastruktura, mas malaki pa ang ipupundar natin para sa ating mga mamamayan.
Kaya naman, ipinatupad natin ang revised K-10 curriculum at inilunsad ang summer remediation programs na nakatulong sa maraming mag-aaral. Ngayong taon, papalawakin pa rin natin ito bilang aral program. Sinimulan na rin ang strengthened senior high school curriculum. Kasama ng ating partners, isinulong natin ang makabagong paraan ng pagkatuto upang maging handa ang kabataang Pilipino. Sa ika-4 na pahina, isinulat natin ang reforma sa paghatid serbisyo. Binago natin ang proseso ng textbook procurement. Sa ilalim ng Project Bukas, bubuksan din sa publiko ang mahahalagang datos ng edukasyon, isang hakbang tungo sa transparency. At sa Education Center for AI Research, sisimulan natin ang paggamit ng bagong teknolohiya para sa mga dating hamon. Ito ang bagong pahina ng ating kwento. Isang sistemang mas mabilis at mas malinaw. Ilan lamang ito sa mga pahinang nasimulan at alam nating hindi pa ito ang wakas.
Puspusan nating inaayos at pinapaganda ang ating sistema ng edukasyon. Sa lahat ng mga pinahahalagahan ng administrasyon, ito pa rin ang nasa rurok.
Ang bagong kwento ng edukasyon ay patuloy na isinusulat hindi ng iilan, kundi ng buong bayan. Sama-sama nating ipagpapatuloy ang pagsulat ng ating kwento. Kwento ng pag-asa, ng pagkakataon, ng bagong Pilipinas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That covers the first 18 pages of the presentation. If we could go to slide number or page number 19, with your permission. This now sets forth the 2026 NEP, our National Expenditure Program proposal of the department, which is totals 928.52 billion. 926.8 billion is under the department, and the rest are the attached agencies. I understand you're having a separate session for those. I won't mention those anymore, with your permission, Mr. Chair. Next slide, please. These are the, just quickly, these are the budgets of the attached agencies. Next slide, please. This slide covers the different spending classes, expense classes, Your Honor. So PS amounts to 703.6 billion. MOE amounts to 181.4 billion. CO, or capital outlay, amounts to 41.78 billion. Next slide, please. This is the Prexy framework of the NEP or the GAA, just comparing the various programs: general administration and support, support operations, which comprises the bulk at 830.7 billion, Mr. Chairman, education policy development program, basic education inputs, and so forth, inclusive education, support to schools and learners, human resources. This is under the Office of the Secretary, totaling 872 billion, but most of it is devolved or sent out to the regions. Next slide, please. This is a comparison. This slide, Mr. Chair, is a comparison of the 25 and 26. So it will show that there are significant increases. The increase of the whole DepEd budget is about approximately 18%, Mr. Chairman. Next slide, please. This slide, Mr. Chair, shows the budget of DepEd over time, starting in 2019, where we started with the 500.2 billion and going through 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26 for 872 billion for the OSEC, Your Honor. Next slide, please. This slide now shows our budget utilization rate, Mr. Chairman, for 2024 as of yes, it's 93.15%. So out of 813 allotted, 813 billion allotted, 757.5 billion obligated, Mr. Chairman. Next slide, please. This slide now shows the status of 2024 obligation or utilization by the major programs. Most of these are over 500 million, Your Honor. So on the left, you're starting with new school personnel, operation of schools, MOE, computerization, last mile schools, school-based feeding, learning tools, government assistance, or which is the voucher program, flexible learning options, basic education curriculum, textbooks, basic education facilities, and the QRF. So for new personnel positions, we have a 97.4% utilization, and for school operations, 94.5% utilization, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman. Next slide, please. So this now we go now to the 2025 budget utilization rate. So we have figures as of June 30 and as of August 31. As of June 30, we were at 44.76, but as of August 30, we have increased that to 56.5%, Mr. Chairman. Next slide, please. This next slide shows again a breakdown per the large ticket items, Mr. Chair. As mentioned, the same slide basically read earlier for 2024 with the respective figures. Again, there are two cutoffs. One is June 30, the other is August. Next slide, please. This slide now shows some of the highlights of the National Expenditure Program, our budget. This includes funding for nearly 33,000 new teacher items, 11,000 admin AO2 or Administrative Officer 2 positions, which will bring our ratio to 1:1 for one admin officer for every school, public school, 5,000 lower level administrative staff to aid our teachers with their program implementation, 10,000 school counselor positions to address student well-being pursuant to the Mental Health and Well-being Law, which you sponsored, Mr. Chair, and as well as funding for 243,000 laptops for our teachers to equip them for the digital age. Next slide, please. This again is a listing of some of our main programs focusing on teacher quality and programs which will equip them with skills and resources. So on the left, we have the plantilla personnel. The hiring was mentioned earlier, the PDOs and the AOs to help our teachers concentrate on teaching. Funding for the expanded career progression, which you and EDCOM, Dr. Yi also pushed for. We have 5.7 billion for curriculum assessment and training. Learning resources amounting to 14 billion. So this textbooks and other instructional materials, textbook tools and equipment, science and mathematics equipment and tools, and also including some of the materials for the rollout of the ARAL program, which you also sponsored, Mr. Chairman. Some ICT packages and connectivity totaling 13.8 billion, as mentioned, the laptops earlier, the e-learning card packages, smart TV packages, laptop for teachers, as promised by the President in his SONA, as well as the school-wide internet program to push for connectivity in our schools. Hi. Good morning, Chairman, Senator.
Morning,
Pam.
Secretary.
Yeah, morning, sir. Next slide, please. This slide shows the improvements in terms of improving the learning environment of our students. So in terms of construction of classrooms, there's 13.2 billion, repair and rehab, 6.1 billion, furniture amounts to 2.6 billion, school electrification, 1.3 billion, priority school health facilities, 0.5 billion, and so forth. Medium rise school buildings, library hubs, ILRCs, or inclusive learning resource centers, ALS CLCs, or alternative learning system community learning centers, the Gabaldon school building program or school conservation program, the infrastructure for our last mile schools, the ISRS, or infrastructure for safe and resilient schools, and funding for acquisition of school sites. Next slide, please. This slide shows what we are spending for our students in terms of special programs, as well as improving their physical and mental well-being. So things like sports, learner support, as well as the voucher program. So there is, for school operation, MOE is up significantly by at least 10 billion, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Senator. ESC is 12.4 billion, that's the voucher. SHS voucher program, 26.5 billion. Joint delivery voucher program for TVL is 2.2 billion. Feeding program, which Senator Bam sponsored when he was in the Senate, is 11.8 billion. Learner support is 337 billion. Palarong Pambansa, 473 million. Disaster preparedness, 652 billion, and so forth. Campus journalism. For the ELNA, the early language literacy and numeracy, 106 million. On the part of inclusive education, 5.9 billion, there is the ALS with 645.5 million. Alternative delivery modes, 94.7 million. Learning resources, 3.6 billion. Madrasa education, 495 million. The IPED, or the Indigenous Peoples Education, 74.8 million. Multigrade education, 142.9 million. And special needs education at 850 million. Next slide, please. So, Mr. Chair, those are the big ticket items. And this slide will now show our wish list. And we're very grateful to the chair and the committee for soliciting our wish list. You asked for 50 billion, but I think in the excitement of our staff, is the old one? We have a new one. Yeah, we have a new wish list totaling 140 billion, Mr. Chair. Para kayo na po ang makapili alin yung gusto nyong pondohan dun sa wish list. You have a menu of full options that you can choose from, that you and the members of the committee, Chairman Bam, can also choose from, Mr. Chair. So, but basically, where's the slide? Where's the? I thought it was there. Yeah, just to summarize, it's not here. We'll furnish it. Infrastructure, we're asking for 48 billion. Computerization, 20 billion. Feeding, another additional 17 billion. Salaries and benefits, 15 billion. ARAL program, 10 billion. These are the big ticket items, Your Honor, comprising the 134 billion. Medyo na-excite ho yung staff ng department with your request. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Do you have a presentation on that 134? You have, can we show it? Meron ba tayong, so we can follow the itemized amounts? And
Mr. Chairman. Secretary, firstly, welcome. Welcome to the Senate. We miss you a lot. Are they the same items here, just different amounts? Or are there other items which are new?
There are others, I think. I think we added more for the feeding because with Senator Kiko's proposal, and also your after your hearing yesterday on the school internet, we increased the amount, so at saka yung funding for the LTE, yung mga ganun ho, sinama na ho namin.
Sige, it would be helpful to see that, Mr.
And
Secretary.
then the textbooks ho, because we heard Chairman Win say before he's thinking of one. He wants to know if we provide, kasi ngayon 1:4 students, di ba? Pinapasa yung libro. Kung 1:1 ho. So we broke it down by key stage. How much? It's roughly about 1 point per key stage, per grade level. It's about a little over 1 billion to provide 1:1 ratio of books, Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman, maybe before the while they're looking for the data, let me just manifest that we're in full support of DepEd, and with everything that's happening, tong lahat ng mga nangyayari, I'm really hoping that we can funnel these funds to initiatives which we know can truly help our people and help our children. No, so. We've been pushing for this since the beginning actually of session from July 28th, from the time that we met actually in your office, Secretary Sani. We've been pushing for this, and now that we have approval and hindi lang po approval once we have support from DBM, from Malacanang, from the agencies, it does seem that it will happen. Let me greet Yusek Oracion here, who was also not really my teacher, but we were together in the grade school at the same time. Hi, ma'am. So, I think this is sabi nating sigurong silver lining from everything that's happening now is that the 2026 budget can be a budget that we can all be proud of, no? And we're happy to really increase the budget of DepEd, no? And I've talked to the chairman about this a few times. And it seems there's consensus, at least here in our body, that we do want to help DepEd. But siguro po ang maganda rin pag-usapan, or we can talk about this further, is which of these are expenditures which are for this year and which will be recurring expenditures, no? Kasi, for example, during the hearing on nutrition, I think si ASEC was there. ASEC Roger was there. I'm sure he's here also. No, he's not here. But ASEC Roger was there. And we talked about an additional 3 billion pesos to increase the feeding program from 120 days to 150 days. No, and I'm fully supportive of that. Of course, pending the chairman's approval and the committee's approval. But that will be a yearly expense. No, of course, we don't know if this huge sum of money which will go into education and health will also be there in the following years. No, so that's something we just have to look at. But I know that there are some expenditures which have to happen this year or for the next couple of years, and then it's done, like classrooms. Once nagawa na yan, di ba? And the expenditure is done. So I guess the question is, later on, we can also parse these additional expenditures, which would eventually become recurring and which would be important for this year. So, for example, during the hearing on nutrition the other day, one suggestion was we spend on the centralized kitchens kasi may startup cost yun, and we can spend on it na so that in the following years, it's already the maintenance cost that we have to prepare for. So I'm sure this is something that DepEd is also cognizant about, and it would be good to understand that. Dagdag ko na rin, Secretary, si ASEC Veloso was there yesterday during the hearing on internet connection, and it seems that, well, DepEd is actually the one paying for it, no? Not really the ICT. The ICT is paying for such a small amount of a small number of access points in schools, only about 2,000, if I'm not mistaken.
2008, Mr. Chair.
2,800, and actually 47,000 are being paid for by DepEd. And just to report to you, I don't know if ASEC Veloso has reported to you already, but from that hearing yesterday, because DepEd is such a huge client of the telcos, that they're willing to actually go into an agreement where you can come up with preferred rates, no? Considering that DepEd as a whole is actually paying anywhere from 1.5 to 4 billion pesos per year to the different telcos. So at least that's something that can help out, no? Help out in terms of savings for DepEd. But that would require that DepEd go to them also as a group. Otherwise, kasi they're all transacting as individuals. So all of the schools who are getting internet right now are transacting as solo clients rather than as a bulk client, which DepEd can do. No, so this is some of the things that we talked about yesterday. But the other thing, Secretary, is that of course the schools are only paying for what their MOE can afford. But if we were to increase that, also they could actually provide better services also for the teachers and the students. So I hope that's also part of the additional budget that you're asking for. But to note also that this will be a recurring budget moving on, no? So yun lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chair Bam. Nice to see you back, sir. You sponsored a lot of these laws, like the free Wi-Fi, the feeding, in addition to the free college, and we're very thankful. These are fantastic suggestions, and your first point about the sustainability is very important, I think, because some may be a one-time expense, given that we might not have this windfall next year, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. So, but definitely, I think the bulk discount, that's something we should be pursuing, Your Honor. Yung increase in MOE, it's increased already as a aggregate around 10 billion, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Because there was a study, naabutan namin yung study ng ADB as to the MOE, kasi maraming schools na nagrereklamo na it didn't take into account a lot of factors. So the results of the study, yung normative funding, are fully implemented in the 2026 budget if it passes as presented.
May I make a suggestion,
Yes,
Secretary?
yes, Your Honor.
Yesterday, we also talked about standards of internet. Kasi because they're transacting individually, they're basically dependent on what the telcos are providing per area. But a school will have certain standards, no? So speed, coverage, and ang suggestion ko po is have that standard and have the principals, if they are to transact individually anyway, to get the plan that matches the standards of DepEd. Kasi I think right now wala siyang standard eh. Whatever they can get lang talaga eh, no? And coming from the hearing yesterday, and I'll be honest, it was also my first time to fully understand who was spending for what. I thought that the ICT was actually spending for more, no? Because they already had about 15 billion or 15 to 18 billion over the last 6 years for this program. It's actually DepEd that covers it every year, no? Through the MOE. So ang suggestion ko is allow the principals to transact. If you're transacting individually, of course, have that deal with the telcos para mas mura. Pero get the plan that really provides the right standard, no? The right coverage for our schools. And it will be different per school, as what ASIC will also mentioned yesterday. May mga eskwelahan na mas maliit, may mga eskwelahan na mas malalaki. But hopefully, with that deal with the telcos and suppliers, it's telcos, cable companies, ISPs. So depende siya sa anong lugar. But hopefully we can have a standardized expectation of internet in our schools. And as far as, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of the SONA promises of the president also. So we're with you there. We want to give you more support, and we want to see this. We want to see that law fully implemented as well. No? So suggestion lang po, Mr. Secretary.
These are fantastic suggestions. We thank you, Chairman Bam. I think the gold standard for now is the 100 Mbps per school, because that enables us to run Khan Academy and other Canva and some of the other EdTech, education technology software. So that really saves time for the teachers. I think 3.2 hours per week is the Khan finding. And it allows them to focus on the more challenged students, while the other, without prejudicing the students who can proceed and even advance. So yung standards, and then your allusion to the bargaining power, given the size, I think that's a fantastic suggestion, and we'll look into it. Just to inform also that the two big telcos, Globe and Smart, have whitelisted subscribers for CAN. Ibig sabihin walang charge yon pagka gumagamit sila ng CAN sa device nila. So that's a big help. But as you said, maybe we can push the envelope even further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. First, let me formally recognize Senator Bam Aquino. Senator Sani, are you
Free to accept questions, Your Honor, but
So-
I hope you permit us sometimes to refer to our USEX
Oo nga,
to help.
yeah, definitely. You're managing almost a trillion peso budget, so there's a lot of details. And just to give context, and I've talked to Senator Bam about this. merong opportunity outside of this flood control issue, merong opportunity. And I think we're all in agreement that this flood control should be put into more productive use. At narinig namin si Presidente yesterday in his press con that he's inclined not to resubmit the 270 billion flood control projects kasi meron pang, I think, mga 350 billion natitira from the previous years. And he gave a list of items, and education was on top of the list. I'll just show on the slide. And Department of Education was also highlighted there, together with classrooms, textbooks, digitalization or computerization, laptops in particular, last mile schools. No? So kami ni Senator Bam, we are in agreement to focus that windfall, the 270 billion windfall on education, no? At least for now. I know that the President also itemized some other items, so we're gonna study that. But kung kami tatanungin ni Senator Bam, talagang gusto namin ibuhos sa education, no? Basic education in particular. Ang tanong, sabi ko nga kay Yusek Fatim, magagastos ba? No? Kasi managing, yan ang downside of allocating funds. Mahirap gastusin, no? Because of bureaucracy. Hindi naman kasalanan ni Secretary Sani or hindi nyo kasalanan, but it's the system and the process that really makes it very difficult. No? For example, hiring, pupunta pa sa CSE, pupunta pa sa ibang mga agencies bago pumunta sa inyo. Ganun rin sa procurement, ng classroom, pupunta pa sa DPWH, mayroon pang mga coordination. So marami dito sa mga processes, hindi kasalanan ng DepEd, no? Kasalanan ng proseso. But nevertheless, what we want is when we allocate funds, magastos, because or else masasayang naman yung pondo. So that is the conversation that we had when I was consulting the DepEd family. So sabi ko rin, aside from giving us a wish list, but to simulate the procurement and the implementation, I think that's more important, Senator Bam. No, I think rechanneling the funds is the easy part. Using or utilizing the funds is a more complicated process. So that's why sabi ko submit rin sa amin your simulation process, or we can talk about that later on how you plan. For example, you mentioned, Secretary Sani, that you part of the wish list is a on top of the 13 billion in classrooms, another 48 billion in classrooms, so that brings it to about 60-70 billion. Can we spend that 60-70 billion? No? Yeah.
Sir Chair, great question. Very important. And thank you for the support. It's most welcome. I think the House is also same-minded, but maybe not singularly focused on education, but kasama ang health and social services. So health, DOH, DSWD. For infrastructure, yes, this is premised on the flexibility provision which we have in the NEP that we are proposing for the first time, seeing how DPWH has performed over the last 2 to 3 years. Medyo bumababa ho yung utilization or efficiency. So we're proposing that we be allowed to download funds to the local governments, because ginagawa po, I understand it's being done in many departments. I'm not sure kung NIA or DA, where the local governments are really involved. And you would know, as a former LCE or local chief executive, the capacity. So I think definitely if we allow that and we remove the traffic from the DPWH and allow 1,000 flowers to bloom, so to speak, Mr. Chair, I think it's very much possible.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So, Secretary, if you remember, we met in your office in, was it June or May? June? June? Oh, so
Panalo niya lang unang,
so maybe
Yes, sir.
June, maybe
Yes,
June,
sir.
no? And we presented our priority bills, including the classroom acceleration program. And we're really happy that you're fully on board the different aspects of the classroom acceleration program, which include bypassing DPWH and allowing our LGUs to build, no? That's separate pa from the PPP, which I know that you will also undertake. And ako naman po, ang pakiramdam ko dito ay mas maganda kung maraming iba't ibang paraan, no? It's not just one. I think the reason why we ended up with 166,000 classroom gap is because we were all we put all our eggs in the DPWH basket, no? So ngayon po, we're actually spreading it further, no? We're allowing LGUs to build. We also know from our hearings that they build at a cheaper price than DPWH and they build faster. And in the case of Iloilo, which I know you're also monitoring, the program that they have with Sinergia, sabi nga nila na kung yung nagbi-build ay taong taga doon, or in their case, barangay level pa yung nagbid nung classroom na pinagawa nila. Sabi nga ho nila, pinakamagandang classroom na nakita nila, sabi ni Governor Defensor, kasi yung mga anak mismo ng mga nagpapabuild, pumapasok doon. No? So there's ownership of that building and they make sure it's done at the right price and on time. Now, yesterday when we had our majority meeting, pinaalam ko na po sa majority at kay Senate President that we will be putting the classroom acceleration program to the floor in a few weeks. I don't know if we can finish it by December. If we finish it by December, then the classroom acceleration program can be an item in the GAA for 2026. If we don't, we will put in the special provisions, which basically is the program, put it into the GAA so we can undergo this program. Now, as far as I'm concerned, confident po ako na kung mabigyan yung mga LGUs ng tulong, they can do it because they really build naman classrooms talaga through the SEF. So they do have experience. We also included provision for NGOs with track record, which we will leave DepEd to accredit who these are. We know that there are a number of NGOs like the Chinese Chamber, Hope Foundation, Angat Buhay, who have been building classrooms for years also. But in our law, ang pinaka namamahala po dito ay DepEd, no? So I'm sure that's favorable to you, Secretary, and that's something that you also look forward to na pag nabuo na yung batas, nabuo na yung fund, and we can allocate funds for the classroom acceleration program, that DepEd will be in charge of administering this and monitoring also the progress of the LGUs.
Thank you, Chairman Bam. We very much look forward to your bill. Pag kayo ni Senwin ang nagsa-sponsor, may bill acceleration program ho. So mabilis ho yung pagpasa ho ng bill. But we really look forward to the passage of that bill. And it's our most welcome. It's a breath of fresh air ho. Because seeing how over the last decade, the numbers, the classroom deficit has increased year on year. Ito talaga, what your bill is a thinking out of the box. It is really creative. And it's empowering, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, may isa akong tanong. Magko-consult na ako kay Secretary.
Na open the floor.
Sorry, may I just make one point before, with your permission, Chairs? While we welcome it, we realize there may be challenges on the ground. Maybe we need to hire more engineering personnel because we only have 475 engineers
To check.
nationwide. Yeah, just to check and monitor. And maybe we might need to employ the services of a project manager because this was part of the PPPs. When Brother Armin did the PPPs, he engaged the firm to do the project management. Kasi hindi kaya ng DepEd, walang in-house capacity, Your Honor.
We will include that, Secretary, since the committee report hasn't come out yet. We'll include that there has to be support for an office to do the monitoring. It's not part of the bill right now, but we will include that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so ito yung isang aspect ng bill na medyo iba ng konti, Secretary. So in the TWG, of course, DepEd participates in the TWG also. We asked for the specs of the modalities that DepEd provides, no? So merong 1 classroom, 2 classroom, 1 story 5 classroom, 2 stories 10 classroom, 3 stories 15 classrooms. And then we looked at the price of DPWH and we also asked the quantitative assessors of the Philippines to give a second opinion on the price. And we found that the DPWH price is about anywhere from 20 to 40% more expensive. Okay? So ang gusto ho namin in the bill is when we download to the LGUs, nakapeg rin yung presyo, no? Based on the menu of modalities that DepEd is providing and the design that DepEd is providing. I want to solicit your comment here. Do you think that this is a good idea or not? And this is genuinely, I'm genuinely asking what DepEd thinks about this. Pag nag-download po tayo, may presyo na talaga. Kung ang hinihingi, 5 classroom, 1 story, ito yung presyo, no? And this is the price that our private sector partners also came up with And I'm telling you right now, it's less than the DPWH price. Would that be advisable, Mr. Secretary?
Maybe we need to ask DPWH because baka naman they will say kulang ito and the product will suffer. We might end up with a we've seen it before where they it's an unfinished classroom. So we have a lot of classrooms that are for completion. I think over 2,000, Your Honor. So maybe there's some inbuilt flexibility. I was asking you, Secron, because he's our PPP guy, and maybe we need some flexibility. But as long as it's transparent, bakit mas
Yes.
mahal siya, di ba? Kasi yung pundasyon ganito, or kasi naglagay tayo ng elevator. Oh, so number one, yung transparency. Number two, maybe there's a need for a little bit of flexibility because sometimes the logistical costs vary, even if the standards are the same. Building a classroom in Caloocan is different from building a
Yes.
classroom in North Cotabato, for instance, Your Honor. So may mga ganun ho.
Maybe we can build in
yeah.
some of those differences, Secretary. But
Opo.
the current idea rin from the bill, of course, this will still change, no, because we'll have amendments and interpolations, is that the LGU can provide that as the counterpart.
That's
So,
even better, Your Honor.
Yung differences ng kasi may hauling,
Yes,
may
yes.
foundation,
Yes.
pwede nang sa LGU yan. It's definitely not gonna be it's not gonna even be 20% or 30% of the cost of the classroom. What we find do kasi is maraming natatagong costs, no? But if you really drill down, and this is why we got the what's there, no? The official name ng assessors natin. Can you get nga the official title? So these are the quantitative assessors who assess all the different projects, no? And they come up with the actual price. Yung hauling at yung foundation, hindi naman siya lalampas ng 20 to 30% of the actual project cost. So right now, the idea, Secretary, is we give a price per the modality. Then kung may kulang, the LGU can do the counterpart. Anyway, hindi na yung ganun kalaki, no? So they also have a stake in the project. That's currently where we are now, but we would maybe solicit, of course, some suggestions how to improve
That's a great idea. These are great ideas, Your Honor. And another one is if there's a quarry in the area, I think they're able to save on that. It also depends on the costs of the raw materials in certain areas. Pero tama po kayo, pag yung labor can be provided by the counterpart. That's why now the NGOs drive
Can
down
keep
their
it low.
costs because nagvo-volunteer labor yung karamihan.
Exactly. And I don't
So-
think the contractors get a margin pag yung NGOs
That's true.
nagpapagawa. That's why it's automatically 8 to 10% lower, no? In this case naman, we want the LGU to build it as soon as they can. But we know that they also have SEF funds that they can utilize for some of the other aspects of the classroom building program. So we'll ask for your help, Secretary, in terms of refining that law. Pero the good news is that I think we will have it on the floor maybe by November. Maybe even actually before we adjourn and then continue the amendments by November also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman.
That's very exciting, Chairman Bam. And we welcome the spirit behind the measure, which is to drive down costs so we can build more, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll change topic first, Mr. Secretary, no? So we've been receiving a number of suggestions to improve our ALS and our SPED schools. I'm not sure if this was in the presentation before I arrived, but may I know the 140 billion additional that you're asking for?
Meron po, kasi we have roadmaps there, which is the the recently passed laws on ALS and as well as inclusive education. So under those, we're meant to transform some of our SPED centers into what they call ILRCs, or Inclusive Learning Resource Centers, which are supposed to be really hubs with the expertise, with the latest equipment, rather than just. And then the theory here is really to have the learners with disabilities to mix with as much as possible to mix or to be mainstreamed. That's the intention. That's why you have an ILRC, Your Honor. Although there may be cases where the disabilities are so great that you need maybe 1:2 or 1:1 guidance, Your Honor. Good morning, Senator Legarda, Chair of Higher Education. Morning, ma'am. So I think pagdating naman ho sa ALS, we are building there are mandates there to have, like for ILRCs, to have one in each municipality or city or in province, and then for ALS to have one in each province. So right now, I think we have eight. We have eight new ALS CLCs. We inaugurated one in Agusan, and we inaugurated one in Tabaco Albay with the Congresswoman Lagban. Very nice. So very nice two-story buildings, Your Honor. So, in fact, well, mas maganda nga siya sa normal classroom. So, which is good because maybe I saw this in Singapore when we went visited their ITE, which is the equivalent of their TESDA. And it was so high-tech and beautiful. It was glass and steel. And sabi namin, bakit ganito ho ito? It's for, and it's meant for the lower 1/3 of their learners, the ones who score the lowest 1/3. And sabi nila, we don't want to make them feel second rate just because they come from the lower grades. Parang kumbaga, because they're not doing so well, we want to even encourage them even more and kumbaga enganyuhin sila na pumasok. So I think that's part of, we borrowed a little bit of that in respect to the ALS by having these very nice CLCs or community centers. And we're one innovation in ALS is we're also trying to push micro credentials kasi I think the tradition has been to mirror the formal. So ALS is the informal, but ang kaibahan lang ho ay ang clientele mo ay haven't been in the formal school system. Nagtatrabaho sila, nagkapamilya ho sila. So now we're trying to do innovations where we borrow not strictly from the formal system, but maybe from TESDA, which has a now meron silang badge system, meaning you take a computer course and you have a micro credential. And the idea there is to have pathways, more pathways, which I think Chairman Win is very much aware of and has encouraged in EDCOM. But Mr. Chair.
Secretary, may I know the goals for the SPED and the ALS and where we are already? So is it one per municipality? And then the ALS is one per province? Ano ba yung target po natin and nasaan na po tayo? Or sorry, SPED or ILRC or however you want to call it.
Yung CLCs, ito yung sa ALS. As mentioned, we have inaugurated 2. 6 are scheduled for inauguration within the year. So, ito po lahat ng probinsya dapat meron ho. So, siguro after each province, then you go to the other. Babalikan natin yung mga probinsya na wala pa. Opo.
What's our ratio po? How many out of ilang province ba? 83 provinces na ngayon. So,
well, at our rate, parang 4 a year lang ho tayo eh. Yeah, so it's I think 4 from this year, 4 from last year.
what's our base? What's our baseline?
Year, yeah, because this is a new law, Your Honor. Relatively new law. Ito.
Oh, but sorry, this is for ALS?
ALS ho.
But the ALS program is ongoing, di ba?
Ongoing ho.
It's ongoing.
Yes.
These are the ALS centers.
Yes.
So the ALS is being implemented
Yes,
everywhere, no,
sorry.
Secretary?
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't clear. That's for the centers ho. But
Okay.
for the clientele, I guess our goal is really to hit everyone who is an out-of-school youth. Of course,
Okay.
we may not succeed, but so we're trying to provide our teachers, kasi trabaho ng ALS teacher, umikot din ho sa komunidad
Yes.
at puntahan yung bawat barangay, sino yung pupuntahan yung mga bahay, magbabahay-bahay siya, tatanungin niya, bakit hindi ho nag-enroll yung anak nyo, yung mga ganun.
Yes. So,
we're,
the ALS program is being implemented everywhere.
yes, Your Honor.
In all of our districts, no, school districts.
Yes, Your Honor. And
Yes.
one change we made this year also is we're going back to the A&E exam, yung what does the A stand for there? Accreditation and equivalency
So
exam.
they can move up, no?
Opo. So that allows them to get credentials and
Okay.
move up. Kasi during the pandemic, we suspended it for 3 to 4 years.
So ALS is implemented everywhere, but our centers are new. So we've only had 6 so far.
Yes, opo.
But the goal is to expand that to hit all of the provinces.
and to attract more yung theory nga na nabanggit ko, Mr. Chair, earlier, na pag nakita ng bata na maganda yung papasukan ko.
They'll be more
Opo,
they'll be encouraged to
pamaingan
attend.
niya ho sila.
Okay, how about sa SPED po?
Sa SPED, I think the goal there is to have, because the capacity for yung accurate diagnosis is still missing within the department, Mr. Chair. So pag tinignan mo yung number of SPED learners per region, per province, it varies depending on like if you look at, for example, Region 11, mataas ang number of SPED learners there because they've been accurately diagnosed. They have the professionals who don't. So, but in others, mababa ho ang diagnosis kasi they don't have the professionals. So one of our goals is to really fill up all the positions. There are hundreds of vacant SPED teachers. So I think EDCOM has been working to increase the takers sa CHED. How? By providing more scholarships. So ito po yung goal ho natin. And again, also to have these new centers, what they call the ILRCs, or the Inclusive Learning Resource Centers, which are really holistic, again, to attract, but manned by the professionals who really are capable of diagnosing our learners and prescribing the correct support. Pero there's, as you know, Your Honor, we're really short of, not just in the public school but also in the private schools, yung mga development pediatrician, for instance. Wala ho tayong ganun. I tried to get one for my son that took a year just to set an appointment, Your Honor. So you can imagine how it is in the further out from Metro Manila and the urban areas you go.
Secretary, what's our goal for SPED? Is it one per municipality or multiple per municipality?
It is one ILRC in all cities and municipalities, Your Honor.
So 1,400 something.
1,600.
1,600
Close to
something.
1,700.
Okay, and we're just starting that now, or are we converting the SPED centers into ILRC?
We're converting the current SPED centers.
So how many do we have now out of
Now we have
1,700?
converted? We have 32 converted already, and by the end of 2026, we hope to fund 53, Your Honor.
Only?
Opo.
Di ba? Ganun ba? I mean, these are the SPED centers, right? Di ba may mga SPED centers naman talaga tayo? We only have 53? Converted. But yung SPED center right now na hindi pa converted, how many is that? I just want to know if, because Secretary, just to inform you lang,
Yes.
everywhere I go, it's classrooms and SPED. Ang laging nabibring up
So,
ng mga parents, teachers, and si classrooms, mukhang meron tayong solution. I'm trying to see if we can
Yes.
also find a solution for
This one
the
is a
SPED.
little more difficult, Your Honor, because ang mahirap talaga yung personnel ho. Kasi I've been to a lot of schools where ang gaganda ng facility, pero sinasabi sa akin,
Walang teacher.
walang teacher, walang yung trained personnel. So maybe the solution is something like what Congress helped us do with the guidance counselors. But let's not go for the 100%, which is the licensed guidance counselor with the master's degree.
Mhm.
Let's go for the guidance counselor associates na may units lang. So maybe we need to find workarounds for some of these positions.
But
Your Honor.
I don't know the answer to this question. So if I'm taking up education, I can choose SPED, di ba, as my specialty.
Yes.
And it's the same tuition fee as if I choose language or English, math, or is it specialized?
There's an incentive kasi mas malaki yung sweldo pag
But we don't have takers.
wala, kasi mas malaki pa rin yung sweldo sa ibang bansa ho. At
I
saka
see.
very much in demand ho. So
I see.
yun ang
Okay, so
problema.
it's the teachers kulang yung teachers natin. But in terms of the centers and SPED schools, if the target
Still
is
restricting the
one,
numbers with,
okay.
with your indulgence, Mr.
Okay, siguro just to
648 is the figure.
Okay, so a
nationwide,
third.
Your Honor.
We roughly have a third of them. And is that part of the 10-year plan of DepEd to close that gap? Kasama po ba yon sa 10-year plan?
Yes, Your
Yes.
Honor.
By what year?
Within kasi ang ginagawa ho natin ngayon is we're at 16 a year ho eh. So medyo malayo.
1.6 or
16.
6.0?
1.6 ho.
1.6?
1.6 times 10 is only 160. So that will take, at present speed, it will take
A long time.
several decades
Oo.
to meet ito.
And this is not, Secretary, hindi ba to part of our, so maybe I can rephrase the question. Do we know how many students are SPED students
About 440,000, Your Honor.
out of 23 million, right?
Yes,
23
Your
million learners?
Yes.
Okay. Yung Region 11 po na nasabi ninyo
Yes,
na
Just a random
accurate.
example ho, sir.
Ilang porsyento? Region 11, you're saying Region 11 was properly done, di ba?
Meron lang silang, I guess, because, they have hospitals there. So maybe they had people who, what some localities do is they hire the doctors in the area to diagnose, to work.
What numbers do we have in Region 11? Like what percentage yung mga SPED over the total number of learners?
There's 50,000 there. Of the 440,000,